Good evening, first graders, and welcome back to another one of Miss Eric's Flips Classroom lessons. Tonight, we will be discussing the quote, "Remember the ladies," as well as other parts of this famous letter between Abigail and John Adams. Tonight's objectives are students will gain an understanding and learn the meaning of the quote, "Remember the ladies." Students will learn about how long it took for women to get some of the same rights as men, and students will learn that this letter was a step in the fight for women's rights. Some essential questions you should keep in the back of your mind as we go through this presentation are: what is the importance of this letter? What were the roles of women in the 1700s? And why did it take so long for women to get some of the same rights as men? We're going to start with an explanation of the letter. It was written on March 31st, 1776. Abigail Adams wrote a letter to her husband John Adams, asking him and the rest of the Continental Congress not to forget to consider the rights of women while creating a new nation. Abigail Adams also wanted the men to think about the women as they were discussing what type of rights they wanted from Great Britain. Let's remember that John Adams was not president yet. He was a delegate from Massachusetts. A delegate is defined as a representative of a colony. So what does the quote mean? First, let's review what a quote is. Simply put, a quote is something that someone else says. Abigail Adams wanted women to be able to have more rights than they did in the past. In the letter she wrote, "Be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors." Abigail Adams wanted women to be treated more as an equal than the people of the past had treated them. So what happened? John Adams didn't believe women deserved more rights. In fact, after reading the letter, he laughed because of how forward Abigail Adams was. Men believed that a woman's role was to take care of the house and children. A woman's opinion was supposed to be her husband's, because it was said that women couldn't speak their mind since they didn't know what they were talking about. As we can see, Abigail Adams was one of the earliest supporters of women's rights. 4 months later, the Declaration of Independence was signed, and women were not mentioned in it at all. When did women start to get the same rights as men? Women were allowed to get a higher education in 1837. Oberlin College in Ohio not only allowed for women to attend, but also allowed African American students to attend. Almost 150 years after this letter was written, women finally got the right to vote on August 18, 1920. Sadly, today, women still don't have complete equal rights. For example, women are still fighting for equal pay in the workplace. Your 3-2-1 exit ticket for tonight is to write down 3 things you learned from the presentation, 2 questions you still have after the presentation, and 1 idea that stuck with you. Make sure you remember to bring in your worksheet tomorrow so that during social studies you are able to turn and talk to your partner and tell them your 3-2-1 exit ticket. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.